Hi, I am Kevin Rissmiller, and the topic of this posting is good things about me, because many of the postings have been negative, because I realize that in today's society, the bad is what sells. As I've pointed out, the TV behind me here, you see a lot of crime shows and negative things being posted or made public or being put out there, and basically it's there to sell the things that are in the commercials. And it's been determined, obviously, that the things that are negative and the things that are criminal and the things that are bad draw the most audience, and that's why there's a lot of advertising that the networks and so forth make money off of because of it. So I've followed their lead in marketing, but then spend all the money on the research, and that's why a majority of my postings have been about the negative things in my life. But any of you who've taken the time to view this posting, I'm going to give you some of the good things about me. I've not always been a bad person, and even when I was a bad person, I did a lot of good things, because in actuality, I am a good person. Just made some bad mistakes and made some bad choices, had some bad judgment from time to time. And I've covered those reasons, so I'm not going to cover that here. Here I'm going to cover some of the good things. One of the first things I want to give an example of, since many of my bad postings go back to my childhood, is that I did try to help as many people as I could. And one of those ways was by being a volunteer ambulance squad member in Old Bridge, New Jersey. And at the time I did that, there were two volunteer squads, the red and white and the green and white squad. I was members of both at one point or another. And I want to share one particular story that has been a heavy influence in my life, and you'll see why it's something that's quite memorable. I wasn't on duty on this particular day, and we had what was called a plectron, which was a radio device that made a sound and went off when there was a call for an ambulance or for a fire or whatever rescue help was needed. And it was on Gobb Road, which is off Throckmorton Lane, a few blocks down from where I lived at 92 Throckmorton Lane. And I was a teenager. And I was probably 17, 18. I was old enough to drive. I had a vehicle, and it was close by to where I lived, and I decided that I was going to go offer my assistance, even though I wasn't scheduled to do that day. And I got to the house because I was one of the closest people there, and it was a man who was conversive, the way you and I are. Well, I'm doing all the talking and you're doing the listening, but the point being, I was talking to the fellow. He was just, he had difficulty breathing, he was experiencing chest pains. He was a heart patient, obviously. Shortly after I got there, though, he went down. He passed out. He had his full-blown heart attack, and other members started to arrive, and we started CPR, continued the CPR into the ambulance, and all the way to Old Bridge Regional Hospital, which when we got there was short-staffed at the time, which often happened, and we would lend assistance by staying there, assisting the doctors and nurses in the emergency treatment of the individual we brought in. And this man, we worked for at least 45 minutes with them in the emergency room, administering CPR. For the longest time I was the bagger. I was holding a mask on his face and squeezing the bag in the appropriate times to put air into his lungs while someone else was doing the compressions. If you've ever experienced or done CPR, it wears you out. It's hard work. So you have to keep changing, and in order to keep a fresh person there who's able to, because the adrenaline only lasts so long. They even put the long needle into the guy's chest, put adrenaline into his heart, and we kept working. But then we were needed for another call, so we had to leave and never got to stay and finish watching what happened with this individual. And I never did find out. But years later, I worked at Pathmark. My nickname was Rambo when I worked there, because I used to wear a lot of camouflage, and I used to collect the cards and bring them back to the Pathmark in Marlboro on Route 9. I don't know if it's still there or not, but when I was in the break room, I encountered another individual from the squad, and we were discussing that case, and didn't know it right there in the break room. Also working with us was one of the children of that individual, and she, when she heard the story, recognized it and said who she was, and it was very shocking. And she told us that her dad survived that. He went through the whole experience where he saw the light and the tunnel and the whole common experience people have at the near-death time when this occurred, but he was eventually brought back. I helped save that man's life. And I discovered that years later. He went on to spend many more years with his family and did eventually pass away, but this is one of many good things I've done. I've been on the front page of the newspaper in New Jersey in a little thing up top, above the headlines, and at the very top of the page. I think the title back then was something like "Johnny on the Spot Saves the Day," because I was working as a security officer, and on my way back from work, when I saw a house fire, and I had a fire extinguisher in my trunk. Well, it was actually the garage, detached garage from the house that was on fire. I was the only one there. I banged on the door at the house, let them know to call, and I went in and tried to extinguish the fire myself, and I got on the front page of the newspaper. There are many times in many places along my life that I've helped other people. Even sometimes it's just being an ear to sit and listen to them. So, I wanted to point out a couple of examples. I've tried really hard over the years to be a good person, to help people, to do good things. And yes, at times it was motivated so that I could be more appealing to women, because that's been my nature. But many times it wasn't. It was just because I am a good person and I do try to help people and do the right thing. And I'm trying to help myself now, because if I'm not in good shape, how can I help someone else? And if you need help, seek help. If I can help you, contact me directly. On my other posting of how to contact me is how you can reach me. But seek out help if you need it, and help someone else if they need it. Pay it forward, pay it back, pay it. Because people pay it to you. I'm sure you've had times where people have helped you, and I know there's a lot of times people have helped me, and I'm in one of those points right now where I need the help. Again, refer to the contact me posting. I would appreciate any help you can offer, and I didn't post this originally to ask for help, but a closed mouth never gets fed. So if I don't say it, you don't know that I need it, and I do. But I have done good things, and I hope that those good things come back to me. And I encourage you to do good things, and those are just a couple of examples, and I'm going to keep this posting to a minimum because of recording times and requirements and such. But if you don't know me, to see some of the things about me, you'd think I was a bad person, but in actuality, I'm not. And I do try to love and be loved and be nice and do good things. And I do appreciate you taking the opportunity to view this, to learn that about me. And hopefully I can show you some kindness and love, as I've tried to show many people, and as many people have shown me. God bless you, and thank you for listening to me rant and ramble, and you have a blessed day.